Welcome everyone to MJ Hobby Corner. This is going to be an update and for the channel as well as for my patrons. What I would like to do is show you guys some projects that are going to appear in the last issue of 2025, my little personal zine for scratch building, Scratch Builder Monthly. And I do have some things to report on the zine, some changes that are going to take place because I am writing a second zine, but I'm not ready to share that yet. So as soon as I'm ready, I will give that information and talk a little bit about the new zine. I do have a new zine that I am writing, and it will first appear in my Patreon. So for those of you that want to help support the channel, you can definitely support Scratch Builder Monthly on War Games Vault, or check out our Patreon. All patrons get a copy of that zine, and they get a copy of basically anything I write digitally as well. In addition to that, we have games and discussions and all that other stuff. Okay, so this is a new fleet that I'm working on, and this is for the game Void Admiral. These are Saurian ships. That's right, lizardmen. I love my lizardmen. We're in the middle of a campaign now where I am playing a lizardman army. So whether it's sci-fi lizardmen or fantasy lizardmen, I always love my lizardmen. So here is the flagship for the fleet, and this is made out of cardboard primarily, and then a bunch of other little materials that I use to decorate the surface of the ship. Now, the rest of the fleet is going to be finished shortly. They're not finished yet. What you're going to see here are the armatures for the ships, basically. And one of the ways that I've been building starships lately is by using this layering technique. This is a name that I've made up. Layering, all it means is just you sandwich layers of geometric shapes to give you something like a superstructure. This works very well for starships, and it also works very well for naval ships as well. So layering is a concept that I've talked about a lot in previous videos and previous projects. And one of the things about this idea, this concept, is that it really makes my ships, it saves a lot of time, basically. And then all I do is I begin to add all of the little, details, right? Using a variety of different materials, I add all my little details to make the starship, to give it interest, to give it a superstructure. So that's the primary concept that I'm using these days to build my ships. Now, if you've been with this channel for a long time, I've been building starships for about 6 years now on the channel, but I actually began building my starships many years before I had my channel. I've been building starships for a long time. And the first material that I used to use, my primary material, was recycled foam. Those trays where you get like meat trays and then things like that, that foam that you get with those trays, I would recycle that. I would cut that up. And I found the whole technique for making my ships that way. And I've made quite a few ships using that technique. Now, I've also used many other materials, and if you've been here long enough, you know there are at least 8 different materials that I've used to make my ships. Well, cardboard is one of these materials that I've always come back to because of the simplicity of using cardboard. Now, this is what I call a hybrid. This has a lot of other materials. Cardboard is the skeleton, but then I use my very good little collection of bits right here. And there are a ton of like electrical bits and all this kind of stuff in here, and wall anchors. You know, yeah, they're good for use as anchors for screws as well. If you want to use them for that, I use them as engines for my ships. They make very good engines, and they also make very good like massive weapons too. But there you go. So this is the flagship. I'm almost finished with the flagship. I'm not finished painting it. And I'm going to do the other ships. Now, Void Admiral is very cool because you can customize your ships and make them in different ways. So basically, these ships here would be light cruisers. These are the heavy cruisers right here behind them, right? These ships here are the heavy cruisers. This is the flagship. There's a lot of ways of customizing your ships so that they can play different roles in the game. These right here, these little ones, these are not fighters. These are actually more like frigates. So they come in squadrons of 3, and that's why I almost built 2 of them. And then I have a third one that I'm working on here. So when I make these things, I use a variety of techniques. I do for let's say if I'm working on a squadron of 3, I make all 3 of them at once in a very assembly-like fashion. I also save templates. Here's a template of some of my older fleet. So these are going to be my Surian ships. Here is another view again of the heavy cruiser. So it's a great little game. I'm going to be talking about Void Admiral. I'm going to invite my subscribers to my library here, and we can talk all about Void Admiral in one of those episodes, all right? Now this, let me fix my camera. This is a massive telescope, and I made this out of various electrical parts and some cocktail sticks, and we have my favorite little mesh material there, okay? We have the screw anchors are sort of in the middle of the body, and this is like I said, a massive telescope, space telescope, and I'm thinking of ways of using these different units in my naval fleet so that it's not always just Navy ships. A fleet can be composed of many different kinds of ships, including supply vessels, tankers, you know, in a human faction, let's say. Maybe alien vessels have other ways of constructing their fleets, but in a human faction, I'm looking for ways of using these kinds of machines in my fleets to make things a little bit different. So this is a massive telescope, and I'm thinking of little homebrew rules so that I can use it in my Void Admiral fleets. And they can be objectives as well. Now, this is not finished. I am going to be adding some tin, solar collectors. I'm going to be using tin once I finish painting this thing, and little rectangles of tin to finish up the solar panels. And this will probably be a robotic ship, like the ship would have an AI, and you'd be able to control it from one of the flagships, you know. So I'm coming up with rules for that, and I'm also, I don't know if it's going to come up in December Scratch Builder, but I'm going to be making a large tanker vessel using this material here, this old marker tube. I'm going to be making a large tanker vessel, and that's probably going to be for my gas mining fleet that I'm making. I'm making a civilian fleet that I'll use as like gas miners, and that's going to be for my role-playing games as well as for my war games. All right, so when I want to have a visual in my role-playing games, I can use a lot of these little ships. So that's it. I wanted to give a sneak peek. Now, some of the materials that I use, the tools, I mean, here, pliers, very important. My wire cutters. I do use X-Acto knives as well as a cutting tool. And then, of course, cardboard. Just cardboard. Raisin Bran. There you go. Cardboard. That's it. That's what I use as the primary material. And then we have a bunch of different things that I'll write about in Scratch Builder Monthly, like my little bits box here. These are all the sprue pieces that I've cut, you know, sprues from all the models that I get, and of course, canvas mesh. Can't forget that. And well, a variety of other materials that I use to decorate the hulls of the ships and make the superstructure. So there you go. December Scratch Builder. I'm writing it. It's going to be a little bit late because we're in the holidays now. So we have a lot going on. Okay, so let me give you guys a quick update. I don't want this to get too long. But as you guys know, with the holidays here, Julie and I are very busy, and we're trying to balance all the social stuff that's going to go on with our content, with our Patreon content, all that good stuff. So there's a lot going on. We do have a campaign using Fantastic Battles rules and some homebrew rules as well. That's on the channel. Part 2 is still on Patreon, but it's become visible on the channel within the next day or a couple of days. I always give my patrons first view of all these things. If they're going to be on the channel as well, it first goes on my Patreon, then it comes here, you know, sometime after. So I'm going to give it a couple of days, and then part 2 of that video will then come on the channel itself. Go check it out. It's a cool campaign. Lizardmen versus the River Alliance, and that's me versus Julie, and we always have a lot of fun whenever Julie's on board. So the next thing I want to talk about, we do have a Dragonbane series. It's our very first RPG filming, and we still haven't figured it out yet. There's a lot of changes that I want to do to our filming. We do have a microphone. I hope to get another one, hopefully, with the studio budget, so that we can have 2 microphones and better the sound and all that good stuff. So we're still working on our RPG stuff, but I do have a Dragonbane series that is now on the channel. Anybody interested in RPGs, go check it out. Episode 3 has just become public here on the channel, and I have episode 4 ready to become visible on Patreon. So my patrons see it first, and then it'll come here, and that's gonna pretty much take us close to the end of the game. I think it's only gonna go for 5 episodes. I think the final episode will be episode 5, and then that whole series will be complete. Now, we have a lot of other RPG stuff that I want to show. There's some discussions that I want to make with respect to RPGs. And this is Arkham Dark. This is an expansion for Shadow Dark. And I want to talk about this in one of our library videos. Basically, this allows you to play Lovecraft with Shadow Dark. So it's Call of Cthulhu for Shadow Dark, basically. It has sanity rules. It has all that good stuff. So it's really, really cool. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Ether Dark, which takes your characters into space, again, for Shadow Dark. There is a sci-fi version of Shadow Dark as well, an expansion, I believe. I don't know too much about it. But Ether Dark is more like Spelljammer, just a lot less complicated. And it uses Shadow Dark rules. And I just got all the material from the Kickstarter that I backed, and so I'll be looking at that, and I will be discussing that very soon. So anybody interested in RPGs, we are getting more and more into RPGs, and I do a lot of solo RPG. That goes on my Patreon, but I may have an example here on the channel as soon as I figure out how I'm going to film these things, because I'm still experimenting with little techniques and how to make things easier for me. Right? So RPG are a whole different animal when it comes to tabletop games. So there's that. And then, of course, there's all the scratch building. And then I'm going to announce my new zine. I'll talk about that in another video. It's a space zine. And I'm going to have a more, I think I'll bring Julie into that discussion. She's going to be editing that zine. And my patrons will get that as an extra little thank you in December. All right. But whether I continue that zine, that's going to depend on a lot of things. Okay. And then it may become available in Drive-Thru RPG. I don't know yet. For right now, I'm working on things, and my patrons will get a sample of that. Okay. So we'll see. I'll keep the channel posted. I do want to write new things. I want to expand to new horizons when it comes to my writing. I was also thinking about an RPG zine, but that's a little more, it's a little more involving, and there's definitely a lot more. You got to really make sure that you check with copyright and make sure that licenses are in place for any kind of fan-made art or work, in an RPG zine. So we'll see. It doesn't mean it can't happen. It just means that I'll have to cut areas of work in order to get this stuff done, because writing Scratch Builder Monthly really takes up most of my time, to be honest with you. And then, of course, there's filming and editing battle reports, and now that we're doing RPGs, so anyway, right now we're doing a war game campaign, and then once that war game campaign is finished, probably next year, we'll do a role-playing campaign. That's how it works. I never have two of them going at once. So anyway, folks, thank you very much for your support. That's all I wanted to say. I'll see you before Thanksgiving. For those of you guys here in the States, Julie and I have like 3 different Thanksgivings to go to. So we're going to be pretty busy. I'll be taking all those days off, of course. But I'll see you before the Thanksgiving holiday. Julie and I will post something and wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving here in the States. I hear there's some weather coming all over the States. We may be getting snow here, and people might be getting all kinds of weather, so they'll be safe. But I'll see you guys before then. All right, so have a great one. Hope you enjoyed this update. I'm going to finish up these starships, and then Julie may be working on something for me for Scratch Builder as well. So thank you very much for all your support, and I'll see you in the next video.